Krishna Guru.
Hare Krishna.
Could you please tell more about yourself and how you came about in Krishna consciousness?
Sure. So the story perhaps begins with the beginning of my life. I was born and brought up in southern part of India, in a very spiritually inclined family. My grandfather, great grandfathers from both mothers and fathers sides, they were priests in the temple, and they all belong to the lineage of followers of Shankaracharya. So from very young age, somehow I have some sort of memory that since the time I remember, I always used to worship deities at my home. And growing up, somehow I was very fortunate that after my Upanayana Samskar, when I was like 9 or 10 years old, I found a teacher, rather the teacher found me a suitable candidate to learn all the Vedic literatures, whatever. He was a scholar. So I used to go to his house every day and used to learn Upanishads and Purusha Sukta and so different Vedic mantras. And then when I was in high school, again was very fortunate to study Sanskrit as a language under a very qualified teacher, and he used to also teach Gita in the high school. So as part of my schooling, I sort of got to know at least a foundation of Sanskrit grammar. I'm not a scholar by any means, but and then I learned Gita. So perhaps two most important things for life. And eventually, when I was in my undergraduate degree, that time I came across teachings of Srila Prabhupada. And in the beginning, this was really difficult for me to sort of comprehend, because I come from a very different background, very different theological perspective. However, when I sort of put myself in a position wherein I want to learn from Gita, because until then it was always about I want to by heart and I want to recite. Right? That's the goal until then. But then first time when I was in, I think I was 17, 18, something like that. First time in my life, I was like, okay, I want to learn what's the meaning behind all these mantras which I'm reciting. What is the meaning behind? So I used to perform my Sandhya ritual every day, even in the college dormitory, wearing bhasma and wearing dhoti kurta and not kurta, that's dhoti and shalya and. But then I never thought, even for a minute ever, that what is the meaning of what exactly I'm trying to do? What is the meaning behind Gayatri Mantra? What is the meaning behind the Sankalpa I'm taking? What's the meaning behind the mantras which I recite? What's the meaning of the Gita? I never gave any consideration to it. But first time when I came across Srila Prabhupada's teachings, I was confronted, because it was very much different from what I grew up with. So I had to then sort of go through and then again fortunate, the Gita which I had was not really from Prabhupada as such. It was from Ramakrishna Mission. But then because of my little bit of knowledge of Sanskrit, I could understand the principle behind what Krishna is trying to tell to Arjuna. And it was very clear to me that whether I accepted Srila Prabhupada's teachings 100% straight or not, I did not. But one thing was very clear, that Prabhupada has captured the essence of Gita and is trying to take it to the world and share that knowledge. So that made me sort of intrigued in starting to practice, and it's been 20 years now. And eventually I was with a setup of like-minded friends who all were living in an ashram setup. Finished my undergrad. I joined a very good semiconductor company in Bangalore and worked for 3 years still in the ashram setup. Eventually left India, went to US. And when I was in US doing my PhD, that was the first time I actually started thinking a bit deeper about my life. Started going a bit deeper in my own spiritual seeking, because I understood that all my life I have been running behind something. When I was in my teens, I always like, okay, I want to get into the best engineering institute in the entire India. Somehow I got into, and then the goal was, from here I want to get the best job. I ended up getting 5 offers after my bachelor's, really good jobs. And then from then it's like, oh, I'm not satisfied yet. I want to go to US. I want to do my PhD there. Got into it, even though it was a time of recession and it was really difficult to get into universities with funding. Still, somehow I got into it. And then I wanted to become a professor. But then I thought, well, I'm seeing the life of all these professors here, really not that easy. PhD itself is difficult. You do postdoctorate research afterwards, which is fine. You're sort of trained to it. But then life doesn't become easy. And then I saw that people are just really struggling to make a living. And I was like, what am I doing really? I'm just running behind things, trying to accomplish, and I'm also getting it. But then where is the end? So I was sort of confronted with my own ideology of life. And then I decided that this cannot be life. Just keep running behind something and keep accomplishing it. Even after you get something, you still have a sort of, I want something else now. I'm really not satisfied. I just, okay, what else is the next thing, right? So then I was like, okay, this cannot be the goal of my life. I can't be just always focused on career accomplishments. And so first time in my life, after like 8 years or so, I started actually wanting to become really spiritual and making the spiritual life as the goal of life. Like I across the teaching of Srimad Bhagavatam, where it's told, Savai pumsam paro dharmo yatho bhakti radhokshaje ahaituki apratihata yatma suprasidati. The meaning is that for the entirety of mankind, the supreme occupation, paro dharmo, is when one performs ahaituki apratihata bhakti to Krishna. And so ahaituki means that which is having no material motivation. Apratihata means something which is consistently being done in a constant manner, not that, yeah, weather is really good today, I'll do some spiritual activity. Oh, I'm not feeling like it today, I won't do it. So it can't be like this. It has to be a consistent effort. So that's something which I sort of understand, in 2014 era. And then I was like, okay, fine, I want to do something now. What should I do? I was like, okay, fine, let me start sharing this knowledge with others. So we started what we called that time as a Vedic Society. UA stands for University of Alabama. That's where I did my PhD. So we started a student organization and then started weekly yoga, meditation, spirituality sessions every Thursday evenings. And then made a lot of friends. A lot of them became spiritual. A lot of them became really highly advanced in spirituality also eventually. And yeah, since then my life is sort of into this zone. I did finish my PhD and accomplished quite a lot during PhD in terms of my scholarly research, but along with that also cultivated spirituality in a very serious manner. Eventually moved to Netherlands, and we have been living here in Amsterdam since last 7 years now. And as part of my career, I think Krishna has given me everything, whatever I could wish for. Eventually, leading companies in leadership positions, startup companies, and established companies. And as the main aspect of life, as a driving force of life, I have tried to keep spirituality as the most important thing of life, and everything else sort of, falling in line. All the time in life we have a choice. What do we want to make as the driver? Our life is moving, has to be a driver. Is my own material ambition the driver, or is spirituality the driver? So I'm trying that we should make, at least in my own life, I want to make spirituality as a driver for life, and everything else sort of fall in line. And that's how the whole universe is designed. It's not, we don't live in a situation wherein we are all just independent and are just individuals. Of course we are individuals, but we are interdependent, and the universe as a whole is a conscious entity. And when people want to become spiritual, there is a force from the universe that actually uplifts. So I think that's perhaps is good as the first question, as the beginning of our recordings. I'm very happy about it. Thank you. Sure.